It's the Sports Peninsula podcast. Coming up, we're continuing to analyze the draft prospects for the upcoming 2025 NFL draft being held in Green Bay this April. In this episode, we'll discuss the prospects at running back. The running back position doesn't carry the same emphasis that it once did in the modern NFL, but recent history has shown that taking a running back early when a team is sure about them can lead to great things. The Detroit Lions are likely not in the market to draft a running back this season, but you can never rule anything out on day 3. We'll discuss the prospects as always and rank them how we see them next. Now, here is your Sports Peninsula team. Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Peninsula podcast. My name is Dave Brzezinski Drew. He's Coach Andy Shield, and we're going to be talking about the NFL draft prospects of 2025 draft in April. We're going to talk about running backs today. Coach, I mentioned in the intro that even though the modern NFL kind of devalues the running back position, there's a couple of teams that we know recently that benefited from taking a running back early. Our Detroit Lions is one of them.
Absolutely. And the teams that win and get in the playoffs have good running games. I mean, it is kind of interesting. It's peculiar because the recipe still hasn't changed. The most successful teams play great defense and they run the football well. That's still, you can go through the decades. That still holds true, even though it's become a passing league and the passing capability of these quarterbacks and receivers is amazing, and the plays that they can make through the air with the football. But this is a game of blocking and tackling. It's still that way, and the fundamentals of the game are a running game. That's the pure form of advancing the football, and it's still a very popular way to do things.
Yes, it is. I mean, we needn't go too far back to February. We see the Philadelphia Eagles, and they landed Saquon Barkley in the free agent market. He had a 2,000-yard season. They win. Even the greatest show on turf, the Rams, they had Marshall Faulk in their backfield. So you're right. You're absolutely right. Now, what has changed, like when we were growing up, everyone had a bell cow. That's,
fewer and far between.
Maybe 4 or 5 teams have a bell cow, like a Derrick Henry, guys like that. Even Detroit with David Montgomery, they have Jahmyr Gibbs. It's it's
two-headed monster, yeah,
exactly,
or a committee,
exactly. And certainly, and I think a bigger part of it is the fact that everyone's running faster and hitting harder, and I mean running backs get abused. I mean receivers not necessarily
short shelf life,
exactly, and that's why a lot of teams are reluctant to draft a running back high. But yet 2 years ago, we saw Bijan Robinson go 6 and Gibbs get taken 12th, and both are outstanding players. There's still opportunities for that. We're probably going to talk about a guy right now who's probably in that same, at least in that same echelon of prospects.
I think we will. At least one of them, and there are several of these guys that are of interest. There's several that are of interest. We have 20 of them on here that are definitely going to be drafted. These are 20 young men that are going to be drafted. We'll start from our bottom right, work our way to the upper left as we do with our top 20 running backs. And that 20 is a guy I saw personally and one of the most physical, toughest runners in this draft, and that's Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers. Real tough back. He's gonna make somebody's team in some way, shape, or form. And at 19, another guy, the Lions, I know had looked at a little bit and they're scouting, even though we're not likely to draft a running back, is Jaden Blue out of Texas. Yeah. 18, Taj Brooks, not too far away from Austin. Going to go to Lubbock for Texas Tech for Taj Brooks. 17, Go Blue, Khalil Mullins. He had a great career, really a legendary career for the Wolverines. And Khalil Mullins is another guy that is going to make somebody's team. And at 17. 16 is Trevor Etienne out of Georgia, the younger brother of Travis Etienne from Clemson, who plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is his younger brother, Trevor. He is in at 16. 15, Ollie Gordon II out of Oklahoma State. We know of a great running back that has graduated from that school. And at 14, Jordan James out of Oregon. 13 is a guy I think is going to be one of our dark horses, one of probably the best kick returner out there in this draft, and that's Bashal Tootin out of Virginia Tech. And at 12 is Damian Martinez out of the U. And at 11 is DJ Giddens out of Kansas. Into our top 10, going down to Orlando to RJ Harvey in Central Florida. In at 9, a real good football player, Brashard Smith out of SMU. He's part of that resurgence of that SMU playoff team. Brashard Smith was a big part of that. Into our guys that we're all going to feature, and this is a real good football player at number 8, Devin Neal from Kansas. Number 7, Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. Some people have him a little higher up their list. He is a definite breakaway talent in regards to his home run capabilities. The guy that a lot of people became familiar with after watching that Peach Bowl and watching him put on a show, and a guy that if you've watched a lot of late night football, you saw him do all sorts of work this past year, and that's our 6th rated back, Cam Scadaboo out of Arizona State and via Sacramento State. He's going to be someone that we're going to be talking about here shortly. Our top 5 into the Big Ten, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. He's a bigger back, kind of your zone cut back big guy, kind of a Najee Harris type. He is our 5th back. And at 4, one of a couple of Buckeyes here, Quinshon Judkins out of, from the national champion Buckeyes. He is our 4th, and his battery mate Trevion Henderson is our 3rd back out of the national champion Buckeyes. We'll talk about both of these guys and their supreme talents. Into our top 2 are Morion Hampton out of North Carolina. This is a guy that could be a 1A, 1B, part of a feature tandem real quick. And if we have a generational running back out of this draft, it certainly is the guy that we're going to be talking about next. Probably fair to put him into that hype, into that category as a guy that is a high first-round pick-worthy running back, and that is Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State. He is our number 1 ranked running back of the 2025 draft in the Sportsman Unslow podcast.
Outstanding, Coach. Why don't you jump into it and introduce Mr. Jeanty to the masses?
Yep. Really, a lot of people who watch college football have seen him do things for about 3 years now. And if you're a West Coast fan, you certainly have known who Ashton Jeanty is. But, really, if you're a casual football fan, he became a household name for you this year. And he is a mid-major player. He comes from Boise State. 5'9", 215-pound junior. He hails from Jacksonville, Florida. However, he prepped in Texas. He went to high school in Texas. Runs a 4.42 40. He was the 2024 Maxwell Award winner. So he was kind of toasted as one of the country's best college football players in general this past year. And he was also the 2024 Doak Walker Award winner, which goes to the top running back. Former great Detroit Lion running back Doak Walker. Mm-hmm. He's a 2-time All-American and a 2022 freshman All-American. So he's an All-American all 3 years. He played college football. He was a 3-time All-Mountain West selection, 4,769 career rush yards. So that's in 3 years, mind you. So he had some big years and 56 career touchdowns. That's including receiving touchdowns as well. Ashton Jeanty, my friend, is a guy that's going to be going. He could very well be a top 10 pick. I don't think he goes definitely any further back, conservatively speaking, 15. He's a definite lock top 15 pick.
No doubt about that, Coach. And there's a lot to like about Ashton Jeanty, and let's talk about that. He's an every down bell cow running back 1 type. We were just talking about that. They're few and far between anymore. Ashton Jeanty's one of them. Elite and generational balance through contact. You look at his stats, and I'm not comparing him to Barry Sanders, but he was chasing Barry Sanders. Yeah, it's there. And physically, he's very similar, at very similar stature to Barry Sanders. So outstanding player, tremendous low leverage runner. And again, so he in essence takes advantage of his lack of height, and he's very low. He's very hard to find because he's running in the trees a lot of times, and he's difficult. And Coach, I know, in your experiences running that wing T, by the time you find that little back, they're about 30 yards down the field, right?
Yeah, they can kind of learn how to climb the wall, so to speak, and climb the climbers. They can find themselves 8-9 yards down the field and springboard in some open space. And Ashton's pretty impressive guy that way.
Yeah, no doubt. And his natural vision, his patience, his timing. He's really a born running back. If there was a guy you could say he's born for this position, Ashton Jeanty, without question, is. Great twitch and explosiveness. He has all the long speed to be a big time NFL home run threat, which you gotta love that.
He can take 180 yards.
Exactly. He's a physical, tough pass protector. Wow. You don't see that very often from a guy like this. This is impressive, and he's comfortable and productive catching the ball. So he's very capable of doing that. There is so much to like about Ashton Jeanty, Coach. I mean, honestly, our Lions, we have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and Craig Reynolds and others not in the market here at all, nor would they be at 28 anyways. But wow, I mean, if you're a running back needy team, you've got to hit on Ashton Jeanty. But Coach, talk about what maybe he needs to work on a little bit.
Well, I mean, he does. I mean, and to say it's fair to compare him to Barry Sanders, it's fair to compare his style to Barry Sanders. He would obviously have to do it over a 10-year period of time at a very, very high level and cross 2,000 yards and do all sorts of things in order to cross that barrier. But he does. He has a lot of feel to Barry's playability and play style. But just like Barry, he is going to take a minute here to get his NFL block and execution timing down. It's not gonna just be an instant marriage. It came together pretty quickly for him at Boise State, so the indication would be it'd come pretty quickly wherever he lands here in the NFL. But that's gonna take a second. He's gonna get swallowed up a couple times, and it's gonna be his own doing. He's got to evolve as a pass catcher and as a route runner and a receiver out of the backfield. He's comfortable in doing it. But when you're successful running the football, it's a much higher percentage play. And, sometimes the best running backs just aren't going to get that kind of attention. They're going to run the football. They're not going to be that receiver out of the backfield. The lesser runner ends up becoming the better receiver out of the backfield. But it's something he is going to have to add to his repertoire. Barry had to do it. He wasn't natural for him.
No.
And it took quite a while, actually. That's something that Ashton Jeanty is going to have to get better for. He's got some miles on him, Drew. I mean, when's the straw going to break the back of the camel? I mean, when's he going to have that meniscus? When's he going to have some sort of, issue with a shoulder or, something that's going to nag and bother him a little bit? Because he played a lot of football for the Boise State Broncos. He is on the smaller side. He's 5'9", 215. That's totally to his advantage as a leverage runner. And, with leverage and lean at 5'9", 215, he's just going to be underneath the tackler more times than not. That being said, and that's going to be a difficult thing for him, too, especially when he's going to be asked to pass protect guys like Aiden Hutchinson coming off of an edge or somebody coming barreling through, hot from the inside. That's going to be tough around that body because he's not an ideal frame for short yardage either. He's 5'9", 215. He's tinier. He's got a few turnovers on his credit, but when you get the football as much as he is, that's going to happen. But also, doggone it, that's going to also get you watching games from the sideline pretty quickly if it ends up costing your team big. So that's something that he is going to have to refine. But he's got to prove himself to have the power, in his game. To be a big-time running back in the NFL, to be a guy that's not going to come off the field in certain situations too much, that he's a guy that can be out there. He can be your goal line back. He can get you that tough yard. He can be the guy that you want to throw to out of the backfield or decoy and use in motion and throw the ball to. Obviously we know he runs the football very well. Those are the things that he's got to be able to prove himself to be. Because if he does, he's going to be a Pro Bowl caliber long-term starter in the NFL.
Yeah, and we talk about there's no question this is a day one pick. All things being equal, yeah, I don't see him getting out of the top 15, Coach, either. I can't imagine a team like Dallas or a team like Pittsburgh would pass on an Ashton Jeanty, and I don't think he'll even be there when Pittsburgh's on the clock. But Dallas is somebody I'm watching for because they have a need. I'm
interested when we have our mock, where he goes.
Yeah.
Because I think, and he could be someone that you could see if those are a couple teams right there you mentioned that are running back needy. And there may be a little bit of an arms race. And they could move up. That's how he could probably get taken in that top 10.
Absolutely.
Pop up in the 9 or 8 and grab him. Chicago. I mean, DeAndre Swift is not. He didn't analytically. We have to look at DeAndre and nice enough kid, but he struggles. He struggles out there. They could use an upgrade too. Now we don't want him to go to Chicago. Please, we don't need him to go to Chicago.
No.
But that'd be another team right there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. Ashton Genty is I think he's going to be a star in the league. It's a matter of where he's going to go and where he's going to do it. Hopefully not in the NFC North.
Agreed.
Let's go to the number 2 prospect, Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. Bill Belichick, apparently 6 foot, 220-pound junior, 4-star prospect from Clayton, North Carolina. He ran a 4.46 40, a 4.52 10-yard split.
1.52.
Excuse me. I'm looking right at 1.52 10-yard split. Outstanding. 2-time All-American, 2-time All-ACC player. 3,164 yards rushing the last 2 seasons. 40 career touchdowns. 624 career carries. 73 career receptions. This is a special player, Coach. What do you like about him?
Yeah, he another guy that's got great contact balance. These are guys that can get hit, and their ability to get both feet on the ground and the ability to advance yet another foot and keep moving. You're going to hear me refer to them as pinball wizards because they're able to kind of keep shoulders square through contact from big, heavy, fast, strong bodies coming into them. And Omarion Hampton has that, this same feature that we really saw with Ashton Genty, but this time in a 6 foot, 220-pound frame. He's got great burst. He gets out of his stance and goes. He can really get a play executing quick and get downhill. He's got the feel for positive yards. He's a guy that can be kind of in a gap pull type deal. He's good. He's a finisher. He's a strong, powerful runner. He has kind of the makeup of a David Montgomery in many, many ways. He's another great pass protector and a real physical blocker. Genty does it at 5'9", 215. Omarion Hampton does it at 6 foot, 220. So he's a little bit bigger that way. Mm-hmm. He is a guy you want. He's going to demand the ball in the short yards. He wants the ball in the short yards. He wants to be that guy. And he is a good pass catcher out of the backfield. He was, Mac Brown, definitely used him that way. He didn't, Omarion's not going to have played for Coach Bill. He was from the old regime, but he was featured that way as well. And he has the ability to be a feature back in a pro style power running scheme. He is that kind of a runner. He's a Najee Harris. He's a Derrick Henry. He is a Le'Veon Bell style running back. He's a guy that definitely could be a feature back in this league, Dave.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Coach. And I see day one potential here because of the teams a couple of the teams we talked about. Pittsburgh actually kind of makes sense to me here, but again, that's for our mock draft. But he does need to work on some things. He's got to refine his techniques as a blocker to be effective and sustainable in the NFL. And we talk, of course, that's going to be the case. But the fact that he's a pretty good blocker already in college and a willing blocker, that bodes well for him. But he is a little too willing to take on contact. That's what gets running backs in that 3 to 4 year range, right? I mean, that the average length of tenure in the NFL.
Get you put in the protocol.
Yeah.
Protocol.
Exactly. And that's, we want to be careful of that. Again, not to say he's going to skate through it and try to, be a sideline guy, but at the same time, there's a time and place for it. And I think he's instinctive enough to be able to figure that out. But he's going to get coached up on that because it's a different game, obviously, in the NFL with the size and speed. He's got to continue to master his leverage and running discipline to be effective in short yardage situations in the NFL. Nobody's going to think he can't, but it's something he's definitely going to have to work on and master because, again, the level of competition is just that much greater. He's a work in progress as a pass receiver, but the fact is he is pretty good at it still. Could he be a great pass catching back, running back? Yeah, it's possible. But right now he's a pretty good one. But yeah, he does need to work on that. Specifically, route running, and certainly he's going to have to be very good at recognizing the defensive schemes he's up against. Be able to understand, where he can get in space if he's facing a zone, etc. He's going to have to work on that. He's not really a home run threat per se, like we talked about Genty, who could bust out an 80-yarder in no time. Not necessarily the case with Hampton. He's more of he's going to grind it out a little bit more, but he's capable of having, those 5 to 7 yard burst runs at any given time. And that's plenty good. in the NFL. Can he be a feature back? You talked about that a little bit, Coach. I think he can. I think he can, but again, it's not a foregone conclusion like with Jeanty. So in that regards, Hampton, that may or may not may take him out of day one. I don't know, but I think there's enough teams that need a running back coach that Hampton's going to get serious day one consideration. What do you think?
Yeah. Omarion Hampton, I think he could at least be part of a feature tandem. For sure, because he is very similar to a young David Montgomery. He's very similar. So this is the type of player that if he goes into day two, it's early. It's when the run on running backs is going to occur, and he'll break the seal on that because Jeanty's going in the first round. And like you said, one of those teams is getting Ashton Jeanty out of those teams that are looking for a running back. And is it a position of luxury? Is it a secondary need position these days in the NFL? Not necessarily, because the team that's going to win the Super Bowl is going to be able to run the football. And, you need a good running back to do so. So in that late first round, I mean, it's not coming to number 28 unless we're going to trade with somebody and move out of the spot. Yeah. It's not coming at 28. But at the end of the first round, we look at some of these teams that might be lingering around there. Could the Pittsburgh Steelers could they somehow move back and if they wanted to and get, Omarion Hampton? Possibly. He's a good looking prospect. Definitely would not kick him off the squad, Drew.
No, definitely not. Excellent player. Let's talk about our number 3 prospect, Coach.
Yeah, let's talk about one of these national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. In it, our third running back in the 2025 draft is TreVeyon Henderson, 5'10", 208-pound senior for the Buckeyes. Comes out of the state of Virginia, Hopewell, Virginia. He ran a 4.4 340. He's a 38.5-inch vertical, 10-foot 8-inch broad jump. So this is an elite athlete. He can really pop and explode. 4-time All-Big Tenor. So this is a prolific running back for the Buckeyes. You're going to get on the field and play a little bit. You're going to be a freshman and becoming an All-Big Ten selection. Yeah. So this guy's, really had a great career for them. A 2021 freshman All-American. He's been a team captain for the Buckeyes. For over 4,600 career all-purpose yards, 48 career touchdowns, 77 career receptions. He's been a guy that's logged his fair share of touches for a great football program at Ohio State. And yes, he was a member of the 2024-25 national champion Buckeye team captain for this year. TreVeyon Henderson's a decorated college football player that's going high in the NFL draft as a running back, Drew.
Yeah, and he gave fits and nightmares to our friends in Michigan, Ann Arbor and East Lansing, and even
me and Dr. Shield were in attendance for that game. Young David was filming from the nest over in Spartan Stadium, probably that play right there.
Yeah, no doubt. He gave our pals in Kalamazoo fits too, if I recall correctly. So, yeah, he's a special running back. What we like about him, well, again, he's another pinball wizard. He's got elite contact balance. He's not going to go down with that first hit, and he keeps his balance and he can go from 0 to 60 real quick. Good and viable pass catcher out of the backfield, elite quickness and lateral mobility, an unpredictable mix of explosiveness and power, and that's what I'm talking about. You pop him, and you can almost pop him off his, pop him in the air a little bit, and as soon as he hits the ground, he's gone. He's that twitchy. He's a very, very good, very sound running back. Game-breaking accelerator in space, good pass protector and efficient blocker, very important. He's in a chunk play guarantee if he makes it to the second level of the defense. You got to like that. And a very impressive control of lateral and vertical running attack. So he really can go north and south. He can stretch it out. He can be patient. And when he likes what he sees, he hits the hole and he's gone. I really, really like TreVeyon Henderson a lot, Coach. What do you think he needs to work on?
Well, the clips are easy when you ever see him kind of get stacked up. He dances a little bit. He can be a little bit of a dancer. He's a very creative, fluid mover. And sometimes those guys can be a little caught up into themselves a bit. And that's something that he's got to watch. He missed some games due to injury. He's missed about 8 games in the middle of his career. That's, you're talking about 3/4 of a season there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot of time. So he's been dinged a few times, and he likes to bounce. He wants to be able to try to use kind of that quick angle stuff. That's a natural tendency. Kids like to do it all the time. It's what we did in the playground at the recess hour over at Washington Elementary and Pine River. Guys bounced it out to the outside all the time.
That's
what we saw, our guy Billy Sims do, and Tony Dorsett and all the great running backs of the day. Marcus Allen, they all bounced those plays. So, I mean, we got to, that's John Riggins, he was a bouncer. So, I mean, another guy that was great to watch. Can't afford to do that. The league's just too athletic these days. Yeah. He's got to be, discipline himself into becoming more vertical runner because he's got all the pop and burst to do so. He's got to make sure, we become more vertical in his run approach. And he needs to continue to evolve as a pass catcher. And in these routes, the NFL offenses are a little bit more sophisticated. He's going to take a little time to probably adjust to that in the pass game. He needs to become an excellent pro receiving running back. If Trevion Henderson can do that, he's going to really find a niche in this league for a long time. He's got a bit smaller frame. He's thick and rocked up, but he's a little bit on the smaller side. He's got to fight, the instant kind of bias that he's just going to be a third down specialist, that he can be a part of a feature tandem or even become a feature back. He has the talent to do so. But where will that be? Will that be at the top where he's a feature back, or will he be more of a third down option for quite a while?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think that fact, coupled with a little bit of injury history, likely puts Henderson in the day 2, but early day 2.
Mm-hmm. Second round.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, whoever gets him is getting a prize. I personally think he's going to be a very good tandem back. I don't think he's going to be pigeonholed with third down back. And if he is, like you said, he needs to become an excellent receiving running back then, because he'll be called upon to do so and pass protect, obviously. So I think he can do some damage on first and second down too. But he's not a bell cow, but I definitely see him as a day 2 guy. Yeah, exactly. Could happen, but yeah, not yet. So that's probably what takes him out of day 1. But the talent's there. There's no question. Hey, Coach, we're going to stay in Columbus. His running back partner out there, Quinshon Judkins, out of the Ohio State University, 6 foot, 219-pound junior, our number 4 prospect. He's a native of Pike Road, Alabama. He ran a 1.51 10-yard split, and he had a 38.5-inch vertical jump, an 11-foot broad jump. Flat broad jump. So very athletic. Part of that national championship team last season. He's a transfer from Ole Miss. 3,000 all-purpose yards and 34 touchdowns at Ole Miss when he was there. 2022 freshman All-American, 2-time first-team All-SEC, and then also a 2024 All-Big Ten player. Quinshon Judkins is a very talented running back. Coach, what do you like about him?
Well, the Buckeyes went all in and had a lot of transfers come in through the portal, and Quinshon Judkins was kind of the feature on the offensive side. And they already had Trevion Henderson. We just talked about the third pick in the draft, our third running back in our top running backs. He's a 4th one. I mean, that's how good of talent they had coming in with that featured tandem. He might be the most prolific ball protector in the draft. I mean, I don't know if he has a fumble to his credit, and almost 800 touches. So, I mean, that he's decorated, and he was a star for the Ole Miss Rebels. He was a star for Ole Miss. So, I mean, this is a guy who's got the ball all day long for them. He's a great cutback runner. He's a great zone running back. If you're a zone scheme, a zone power scheme, he's your type of guy. This is the type of guy you want. He's real physical. He's got a real effective stiff arm. He kind of uses it, sort of engages it like Jahmyr Gibbs does. He's a speed and angle running back, but he has elements of power into it, and he really utilizes that stiff arm really well. Another guy's got tremendous contact balance. You're going to hear us say that time and time and time again. Not every prospect, but he's that tremendous contact balance allows you to not always have to be so just crazy elusive. you can be a little bit north-south and keep your feet. He runs with great leverage and lean. I mean, he can sink his hips and sit down and also have his proud chest coming forward a little bit and keep that. It's flexibility. It's a functional athleticism you need to have to be a quality running back. He was good in the short yards, both at Ole Miss and at OSU. I mean, he can be relied upon to do that. And hey, he's 6'2", 219. And he's a proven, comfortable pass catcher out of the backfield. He did it at Ole Miss. He did it for the Buckeyes, en route to a national championship. Drew, is he perfect?
No, but who is, right?
That's right. Go ahead and talk about it, though.
Absolutely. So he's a little more linear and tighter than some of the other running back prospects. You kind of see from the picture, he's tall.
Trevion, no.
What's that?
Doesn't move quite like Trevion Henderson.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, a little more linear and tighter. He held more in check against the most talented defenses in the SEC and Big Ten. So, he took advantage of lesser opponents. Didn't quite do that as much against the top teams in the SEC and the Big Ten. Not that he was ineffective, but again, that was something to look at. A little too reliant on vision and ability to escape. So, there's a time and place, but then there's sometimes you just got to hit the hole, right? And maybe he gets a little late to the party, maybe thinks a little too much back there, and that can get you in trouble. He's got plenty of negative yard runs to his credit, so again, that ties into it. That he does take carries for losses. It's on tape, you can see it. Not the pass protector that the other prospects have shown to be. Doesn't mean he can't evolve into that. He's certainly big enough to do it, but it hasn't been his thing per se. He's going to have to work on that. Not a breakaway threat either, although he's very athletic and talented. But again, the way he runs, it almost kind of prohibits him from being that way, Coach. And that can be a concern. Is he anything more than a committee back? I'm not sure. I guess when we say that, yeah, it does. It certainly would diminish the running back in per se. But at the end of the day, though, I think he can be a very, very effective committee back. And I think wherever he goes, if he is paired with somebody that's talented, that can kind of be that 1-2 punch, I think he's going to be a very effective running back in the pros. Coach, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he is definitely a share back. He's going to be part of either a feature tandem, or he'll be depth and work himself into a feature tandem, or in a true committee 3-headed monster type situation, where he becomes the guy that gets, regular reps as maybe the RB. There's RB1A, RB1B, and RB2, and being that RB2, really the third back, but a guy that still gets some snaps. I mean, San Francisco, they'll run 3 backs in a game. So, I mean, he's definitely got a future, and he can become a special teams player. He's a good athlete, but yeah, he's going to have a little bit more of an incubation period, I think.
I think he's a solid day 2 guy, but I think for sure. It could be late in the second, maybe even early in the third. But I think he's definitely gonna go day 2
in that area.
Exactly. Let's talk about our number 5 prospect, Coach. Who do you got?
Staying in the Big Ten, another bigger back here, 6'1", 224-pound junior out of Iowa City, and those Iowa Hawkeyes, Caleb Johnson, really good football player, really, really heralded running back, especially this year out of the Big Ten. From Hamilton, Ohio, that's a football factory. I've known some coaches that come out of Hamilton that I used to work at the University of Michigan Technique School, and that's a football town. So he came from a real good place there. 2022 freshman All-American. We talked about a lot of freshman All-Americans this season and draft season, Drew. He was the 2024 All-American. He's a 2-time All-Big Ten selection. He was the 2024 Big Ten running back of the year. So this was the guy. I mean, we just talked about 2 Big Ten running backs, 2 darn good ones. We're not done talking about Big Ten running backs. There's some other guys that were featured that were hell of great football players in our top 20 that are Big Ten running backs. This is the guy that was rated by the coaches and media as the top one. Over 3,000 career all-purpose yards, 32 career TDs, 500-plus carries. So this is a guy that's played a lot of football and has been counted on by Coach Ferentz and company out in Iowa City. So Caleb Johnson, heck of a football player, getting drafted on day 2.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot to like here about Caleb Johnson. Great vertical burst. You saw a lot of the combine. He was impressive at overall. So You could see that on tape as well. That's most important. But he definitely showed out the combine too. Explosive and bursty for a bigger back, and you gotta like that. He's one of the bigger bats we're going to talk about at 6'1", 224. He's a great screen back. That's very, very necessary. Even in the RPO, you're going to be looking at that as well. A lot of teams run that, but being a great screen back is worth its weight in gold in the NFL. So that's a good thing for Caleb Johnson. Excellent block user and exceptional vision. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Kenneth Walker a little bit, or not. I shouldn't say, but more like Le'Veon Bell, where he's patient and waits for the hole and then he hits it. Did you see that a little bit, Coach?
Yeah, very similar size too.
Yeah,
not quite as tall, but very similar.
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar style and size.
And that's very effective. A great control and feel for using blockers. Again, that's what we're talking about, that patience. It pays off. And even a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, they, as explosive as they are, they're patient. They wait for the blocks to unfold. They will wait, and it's to their benefit. A lot of running backs should take notes on that, quite frankly. That's how you got to really play. And those guys do it exceptionally well. Caleb Johnson is very good at it, too. He's a true workhorse, especially last year in 2024 for the Hawkeyes. A bell cow for them. Runs with great leverage and lean. He's a tough tackle in short yardage. He's a big load, and he's got power and speed. He averaged almost 6 yards per carry in the fourth quarter during his career. Now, that's impressive. So this guy does not wear out. He doesn't wilt late in the game. He doesn't get tired. He wears people down. That's what you got to like about Caleb Johnson, his size and his ability. He uses that all to his advantage. Coach, he does have some things to work on, though. What do you see?
Well, he lacks the burner speed. He is not going to, march off 80-yard runs too often. He's a guy who can get you a 55-yard big chunk play. But if he's on the other side, if he's coming out of his own end zone, you're not going to be worried about him taking one to the house necessarily. That's not him. So it's not really that, much of an indictment against him. But it's because that's not really who he is. But nonetheless, if you're looking for a big play in the running game, there are other backs that can provide that chunk play in more regularity. He's a square shoulder, positive yards machine. That's who he's got to be. That's who he is. That's what he's got to be able to do. And he can set himself up by, going lateral to vertical, and working himself into a seam where he can, pop 3-4 yards ahead. But that's what he wants to be. That guy that is pushing, north of 4 yards per carry and keeping that statistic in that area. He's very effective in screen plays. He's not a real dynamic route runner and a guy that can do a lot of other things. It's kind of how he was used in Iowa. If you watch college football, there have been some criticisms of Coach Ferentz's teams being maybe a little unimaginative on the offensive side of the football at times. And Caleb may have suffered from that a little bit as well in regards to his pass catching and his route running with the Hawkeyes. Pedestrian pass protector and blocker. Other guys that we've talked about are better than that. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking about him now. That's one of the reasons why we're talking about him now and not at 1, 2, or 3. He's a very linear runner, kind of like Quinshon Judkins that way, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They're just not just electric playmakers usually. They're those guys that are going to get you your cloud, that 4 to 7 yard gain, which there's nothing wrong with it. That's how you win. Doesn't have, appear to be a big play threat, but who cares if you're popping 5 to 6 yards of carry in the fourth quarter, you're doing work. He's a likely committee back with a more modest ceiling. I think this is a player that could really become a really good feature tandem guy and a run A, 1A, a 1B type guy. And there'd be nothing wrong with that. And because of his size and ability, I could see this guy being a guy that could push towards the back end of a first round because he could be somebody's 1B and be a reason why they keep things going. But, Caleb Johnson, not quite the athlete as the other backs, but he's also bigger than the other backs, Drew.
Yeah, absolutely. I like him a lot.
He had a great year.
He really did. And
Iowa's offense to become better than it was.
Yeah, and that's a team that is
person. He was impressive.
They were the kings of the Big Ten, the old Big Ten West, but they always struggled really to really score. And like you said, it may be due to scheme. Because they've been tight end you forever, and they've had good success with their offensive linemen, and obviously running backs. Caleb Johnson, another example, but they have struggled offensively there. I think it's interesting because he, like you said, he could he be a late day one type talent? Yeah, but he also could be drafted maybe late in day two because of some of the concerns that you articulated. So I think the higher Caleb Johnson goes, it's going to be more because the team envisions him fitting their system very well. But he's a super talented back coach. I mean, I think whoever gets him, if they play their cards right and set him up for success, he could be a very effective player for a long time in the NFL. He's a good one.
For sure. Day two lock.
Yeah, absolutely. Our number 6 prospect, coach, who we got?
Cam Skattebo out of Arizona State via Sacramento State, 5'11", 215-pound senior. Kind of became a darling this year, especially through the middle end part of the football season when people started really being able to kind of attest to him and see him a little bit. Arizona State joined the Big 12, which means they played a little bit more into the 9 and 10 o'clock hour on Saturday nights, and a little bit more into the afternoon games too. So he was seen a little bit more. And man, did he have a year. Rio Vista, California native. He is a 39.5-inch vertical leap. So he is an athlete. He's got some pop in those legs. As we said, he transferred out of the Big Sky Conference, FCS, Sacramento State Hornets. And that juggernaut of a football program they have in Northern California there out of the FCS. And he was a stud, Drew. He was an FCS All-American, 2-time All-Big Sky guy. And he jumped right in. He was all conference in 3 different leagues. The Big Sky, he was all conference with the Pac-12 last year for the Sun Devils, is their last year in the Pac-12. And he was an all Pac-12 selection or all Big 12 selection this year in 2024. So heralded career for Cam Skattebo. He's a 2024 All-American. He really was the toast, man. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist. He had a big year, folks, and he had a big career. 4,386 career rush yards, 51 career TDs. Cam Skattebo is a prolific college football player.
No question, coach, and there is a lot to like about him. He has perhaps the best leverage in lean runner in the draft. When you watch him play, you talk about pinball. Oh my goodness, he is very. There's guys that. And I don't know how to. There's probably a more technical word, coach, to describe them, but I mean they're just tough to tackle. I mean I've literally seen guys where 4 or 5 guys are on them, and those knees aren't hitting the ground. You've stopped them, but you can't take them down. Skattebo reminds me of that so much of that style. He's just so strong, excellent vision, natural born running back, good fluid and creative mover for his build. He doesn't look like he'd be that elusive, but he really can be. And he also can run through you. He's got a lot of power. He's a true pinball wizard. He's got exceptional contact balance, outstanding short yardage goal line running back. He's just not going to be denied. He's a very determined, strong runner, vivacious competitor and energy effort player. He's just got no quitting him. That motor's running full and hot. He's a great cutback runner, and he has good hands. So he's able to hold the ball. He's able to catch the ball. Coach, that's you like that in the running back, no question. But there are some concerns here. Let's talk about him.
In a lot of it, where I was my personal view of what kind of transpired as things started to kind of unfold for them against Texas in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
And, he likes the football. He wants the football. And you want running backs to be that way. I mean, the coach and you don't want to break that spirit of somebody that's that way. I mean, yes, front runners and arrogant types and guys that only are any good to be around when things are good. And they like to point fingers when things are bad. We don't want those type of guys around, but you also do want some alpha dogs that want the football, that will just keep running into that wall until you break through. And Cam Skattebo is that type of guy. But, he likes the football, but, he's got to be able to play all the other facets with the same passion and energy as he does when he carries the football. He's turned the football over a little bit in his career. He's turned over. He's been a little bit loose with it, and it hurt him a little bit in that Peach Bowl at times. he's not going to hit the home runs in the NFL that he did maybe a little bit at Arizona State and at Sacramento State. He's just his speed profile is not going to be like that. So there's another guy that could be a real positive yards per carry type back, but I don't see him being a home run type guy. He does not bring the effort in the pass protecting and blocking like he does as a runner. And I think that's going to cross him off certain lists. I'm not sure Cam Scadaboo is a Bill Belichick type football player. I'm not so sure Cam Scadaboo is a Vince Lombardi type football player. I'm not sure, but I'm also not sure. So I think you know where I'm going with that.
I do.
He can be a little bit of a dancer out there, and he can be guilty of playing hero ball, putting it all on his shoulders. That can be great, and that also can be absolutely toxic and draining. And I think there were elements of that we saw a little bit against the Texas Longhorns.
Yes.
He's got a lot of miles on him, Drew. He's played a lot of football. So he's got to embrace the little things. And I think Cam Scadaboo matures. He gets around other professional football players. He flourishes. He's a great kid. He really, really is. He's a warrior. He comes from a great family and a real supportive dad that, never misses anything. And, and parents that, that are really supportive. So he's a good kid. He's going to do well. But I think he's still day two. I think we're still on the day two with him. Maybe round 3, but I think day 2.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. But I saw those things against Texas as well. And I had concerns. I mean, honestly, I not knowing him at all, I saw character issues there. So, but I also did see, the family around him, and I also saw some interviews with him. I think he's got a pretty level head. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's going to be a very good football player. He's going to work his ass off. We know that. But if that hero ball is that's got to go away. And to me, that's coaching. And quite frankly, that's just a commitment by himself to say, I'm not going to be that way anymore. And to me, that's an easy fix.
I have a feeling his teammates won't let him.
Yeah, I got a feeling too. Absolutely. Excuse me, absolutely. But Scadaboo was a very good running back. Definitely a day 2 talent. On to the number 7 prospect, we're talking about Dylan Sampson out of the University of Tennessee, 5'11", 201-pound junior. Coach Dylan hails from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 4.35 40-yard run. That's outstanding. 2024 SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year in the SEC last year. USA Today SEC Player of the Year last season. All SEC and All American last season. 2,800 career all-purpose yards and 35 career rushing touchdowns. Dylan Sampson is a prolific running back, Coach. What do you like about him?
Yeah, he's a burner, and he had a lights-out 2024 for Tennessee, getting him back into the playoffs. Burst the explosive chunk play machine for the Vols. I mean, he touched the football, and he was getting 15, 20, it seemed like routinely. And he's surprised he's stout in the pass protecting game. They'll keep him inside. He'll pin blitzers. He'll pick up and reroute an edge rusher. He does a nice job as a blocker and pass protector as well at a 5'11", 201-pound frame. Big time third down player. And I'm not just saying throwing him the football. He's not like just a Ronnie Harmon type. He is a guy that, on 3rd and 7 would get the football and get a 9-yard gain, like as on a run. He was just, a big time converter on 3rd down for the Tennessee Volunteer Football Program. Great patience and vision. He can access his run alleys, and that really led to a lot of big yard, plays for him. Very comfortable in adjusting to advanced and complex situations, loud crowds, big drives to go down and score to win a game or to tie a game, multi, sets and shifts and late last second communications. He's real poised and does that really, really well. And that's going to translate really well to the NFL. It's going to get him on a roster and playing next year. I really do. Feel that way. He's real good at that. You have to come into Ford Field. You got to be that way. Yeah. As in a visiting team. Has very good, another good leverage and lean guy. But he's thinner frame, but he still plays with some leverage and lean. He's not just an elusive guy. He will bounce off you a little bit. But he's a very fluid and creative mover, Drew. Electric feet. This is a speed back. but he's got some things he's going to be, doesn't quite have that probably, in his arsenal. What do we got here, Drew?
Yeah, look, Dance is a bit too much when he's pressed by the defense, and too many jump cuts and creative moves at times. It's like if you ever saw Barry Sanders play, go watch the tape. I mean, some of his most spectacular runs were for losses. Not everyone's Barry Sanders, so that will get 99.9% of backs in a lot of trouble. That's gotta stop. This has to stop. Big time turnover profile. He's got to protect the football. He's got to show that he can protect the football. I like the way he's carrying it right there. So that we got to see more of that. He can't get loose with how he's carrying that ball. He cannot put it on the turf. He will not watch. He'll be watching a lot of games instead of playing in them. So he's got to fix that. The small frame, we talked about that. But I think he's got a frame he could probably pack on another 10 to 15 on, Coach, and hopefully maintain his speed. And if he can do that, that'll help him quite a bit. He needs to maximize his blocking techniques for viable NFL game reps. If you don't block, you're not going to play, especially if you're not going to be, an absolute stud back there. You've got to be able to do. You got to be able to do everything. You got to be kind of a Swiss Army knife. He's got to be able to develop that game, a full project as a receiver out of the backfield. So, again, you got to. He's going to have to be able to prove that he can run effective routes. Prove that he can block effectively, or else he's not going to be able to be effective. He's certainly got to be able to prove that he can catch the ball out of the backfield in a screen situation at the very least. He's got to be an outlet guy. He's got to be able to do that. I think he can do it. I think he's got the talent, but he's got to show it. He's got to prove it. Needs some developmental time. So this is a back, again, you draft him. He's not going to start for you right away. It may be a committee, but Dylan Sampson, I think he has day 2 talent. He may or may not get drafted on day 2. A lot of it because there's other needs in other positions, and not every team has a running back need. And I guess that's probably what might bounce him into day 3, or maybe 4th round, day 3 in my mind, Coach. Well, I don't know what your thoughts are, but that's where I see him falling.
Yeah, I mean, it's very distinctly possible he slips into that day 3 and as a 4th round selection, 3rd, 4th round. Because he is. There's a lot of positive plays. There's gonna be some scouting, some scouts out there, and some front offices that are really gonna like what Dylan Sampson brings to the table because he's very fast. There's a lot of positive plays out there. There's also some turnovers and some guys that just gets some plays where he just gets kind of swept up and taken out of things too. So it's going to be interesting to see where he kind of lands. But I don't think the demand is going to be on his shoulders like some of the other backs are that are drafted ahead of him.
I agree, Coach. Definitely. Let's talk about our number 8 prospect.
We got Devin Neal out of Kansas. He's a rock chalk Jayhawk, 5'11", 215 senior. We talked about that body type a lot. That's kind of the prototype for a lot of the backs coming out this year. He's a hometown hero. He's from Lawrence, Kansas. He did not go far at all. He's from Lawrence, Kansas, went to high school in Lawrence, Kansas, and went to college in Lawrence, Kansas. He is the Jayhawks' all-time leading rusher.
And by the way, Gale Sayers went to Kansas.
Yes, he did. Also a guy by the name of John Riggins went to the University of Kansas. So we're talking about, a prolific ball carrier here. He rewrote most of the rushing records over there. I mean, touchdowns, yards per carry. He holds almost everything. Single game, season. He is the running back of the Kansas City Jayhawks now. Devin Neal is team captain, 2-time All Big 12 selection, 4,343 career rush yards, 53 career touchdowns, 77 career receptions. He's over 5,100 career all-purpose yards. Boy, did they get their mileage out of this kid. He had a hell of a college football career for the Kansas Jayhawks, and he is very, very well liked by many scouts and a lot of NFL prognosticators, Drew.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And first, he's got a tremendous ability to adapt to different running schemes. So he's very adaptable, and he's able to, whether it's a zone scheme, power run scheme, whatever, he can handle it. Very natural and patient runner, outstanding ball security standards. So that's important, obviously. Extremely durable and he had a lot of carries at Kansas, very durable. Made noticeable progressions every season. That's so important, improved every year. He's explosive and quick off the snap. He's very fluid and creative as a mover, and very calculated speed and tempo adjustments that led to a lot of yards at Kansas. So this is a running back who's patient too, Coach. I really like Devin Neal a lot. I know he's got things to work on. You're going to talk about him, but there's a lot to like about Devin Neal. What do you see?
Yeah, he's not so much the leverage and lean guy. He's more kind of a wiggler. He's kind of more of a sit and wiggle guy. He's a little bit more upright in his style, which the leverage and lean is kind of the way of the way to go. It seems like these days you don't see those kind of sit squaddle type guys as much anymore. Kind of a throwback, old scat back in that regard. Somewhat productive as a pass catcher, but he's got some drops to his credit as well. So that's a part of his game. Just like most of our prospects that we've talked about today, is going to be a piece of growth that they need to show.
Yeah,
can be a little too relaxed in hitting the holes, kind of like Quinshon Judkins. We get a little frustrated with those Red Wings sitting on the puck and looking for that thread the needle saucer pass and not shooting the damn thing towards the net. It's kind of like that. It's like, come on, bud. When we gotta get our shoulders square and pick up some yards. We're watching those yards go by, and Devin Neal might be guilty of that on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
He's more elusive than he is a contact balance guy, and we've talked about that contact balance running back, that pinball wizard. That's not so much how he does things. He's more of an elusive guy, and kind of he's more of a wizard, but not a pinball wizard. He's more practices sorcery and magic for his yardage.
That works.
So, he could be somewhat easy to tackle. So he needs some time to develop. But this, again, like Dylan Sampson Day, this is a guy that can get on the field this year for somebody.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think late day 3, early day 4, very much like Sampson, like you said. And I think depending on the scheme, some teams may like Neal over Sampson. I mean, I like Sampson a lot, and his season last year was unbelievable. But they're in the same group there, and I don't see Devin Neal going later than early round 4, day 3. He's a very good running back. A lot to like about him. We've only got a couple minutes, Coach. I'm going to talk about our dark horses. I'll start. Bashal Tutin out of Va-Tech, Virginia Tech, 5'11", 209-pound senior. He's from Paulsboro, New Jersey. He transferred from North Carolina A&T. He ran a 4.32 40, a 4.49 10-yard split, a 40.5-inch vertical leap, and a 10-foot, 10-inch broad jump. A very, very good athlete. 2023 All-American as a kick returner for Virginia Tech. 2-time All-ACC player. Nearly 5,500 career all-purpose yards and 50 career touchdowns. He's a big-time special teams player and outstanding return man. So he's got that in his back pocket. Truly explosive and a top-speed home run threat. He runs tough and hard, and for being a speed back, he's a very tough runner. So that just jumps off the tape for you with Tutin. He's extremely linear in his style. He offers very little as a blocker and pass protector, and he did suffer some fumbleitis from time to time, so he's going to have to shore that up. I like Tutin because he's going to help you right away on special teams, Coach, and he definitely could be a contributor in the backfield for an NFL team, and that's why I like Tutin as a dark horse. Who do you got?
I've got a guy that really came on strong last week in his pro day in East Lansing. We haven't talked about many Spartans this year, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But Nate Carter is a running back out of Rochester, New York, that transferred here from UConn. Ran a 4.37 the other day. Has a 10-foot 8-inch broad jump. He got on the bench and racked it 23 times, 225 pounds.
Like that.
5'10", 202-pound running back. So he was team captain at MSU this past year. He's got 2,700 career all-purpose yards and 14 TDs. And a ton of chunk plays for the Spartans and for the Huskies. Made a lot of plays. He can really get lateral to vertical. He's got good feet that way. And he possesses some explosiveness that could be an impact in the NFL. He truly does. But he never was a bell cow for the Spartans. He never was a bell cow for the Huskies. He had some big years, but wasn't the feature guy. Kind of an inconsistent performer, hot and cold a little bit. And his smaller frame presents some issues. This is a guy that's going to be a later pick, and he may even be a UDFA. But that athletic ability is going to get him onto a roster. And I wouldn't be surprised 5 years from now, Nate Carter is still on NFL rosters with his athletic ability contributing a little bit. Play some special teams. He could get on a team this year. But I think a 6th, 7th round pick, Nate Carter out of Michigan State.
I like that a lot, Coach. Like that a lot. Hey, overall, we got to wrap this one up. But overall, this is a pretty deep running back class with some star power. And overall, how do you think of it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of day two talent here, and there's some day one talent for sure. Maybe some borderline day one talent. There might be a couple of running backs. I think Omarion Hampton and a guy like Caleb Johnson could slither up into there. Trevion Henderson could slither up into there. So there's some other some candidates as well.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting close to that draft post. We got a lot of position groups to cover, so stay with us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Thanks for subscribing. Don't forget to check us out on the ESPN Network on the Roku channel every Saturday at 7 p.m. For Coach Andy Shield, I'm Drew. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon. This has been the Sports Peninsula Podcast. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Follow us on YouTube so you don't miss an episode at the Sports Peninsula Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter X. Just look for @SportsP Podcast, and follow us to keep up on sports around the great state of Michigan and beyond. You can also catch our show every Saturday night at 7 p.m. on the ESEN Network channel as part of Roku. When you want to hear all about sports in the great state of Michigan, there is only one Sports Peninsula Podcast.